Today we're going to try a new beer and try some makeup. This time it's going to be vintage inspired evening makeup for over 40 with a hint of color. So stick around. Hello, welcome to Lady in Waking. If you are new here, this is a channel for those of us who are over 40 and trying to maintain or find our vintage style. It also is going to have lots of vintage techniques on this channel, so if you are interested in that sort of thing, you may want to subscribe even if you're not over 40. And subscribing, rating, commenting, that is the best way to keep my channel active and keep the content coming. So please feel free to do that at any time. I love your comments, so please keep commenting. Today we're going to be doing a evening appropriate vintage inspired makeup. This was asked for on my Instagram. I put a poll out there and most of you wanted to see a vintage technique, somewhat vintage technique with color. So what we did today is a very standard 1960s kind of glam look. This is definitely not something that I would wear during the day because I feel like a lot of makeup during the day can tend to go a little Indora, if you know what I mean. But it is great for evening in low lighting. This sort of makeup look looks really, really great. I'm going to go through the whole thing with narration. There will more than likely be a short version of this on TikTok and Reels if that is more your speed. If you are comfortable with makeup, if you don't need all of the deliberate process and the narration, then feel free to check out the short form video of this. But this is the first evening makeup look on my channel, and you will see more to come along with beer tasting every time because it's my channel and why not? So stick around for the tutorial. Hello, so I'm starting by priming my lids with my favorite concealer, which is my Dermablend Quick Fix Body Cover, and I just used my fingers to sort of create a primer on my lids. I'm not applying my face makeup yet. And then I'm going to start on my brows by using my Ultra Slim Brow Pencil in Soft Brown from Maybelline, and I'm blocking out the inner corner of the brow to make it a nice square brow. This is more indicative of a late 50s, 1960s kind of glamour brow. I wanted this to be a bolder eyebrow for this particular look, but you do not have to go this bold if you don't want to. So I'm going to comb that out after I finish filling it with my eyebrow pencil, and then I'm using the Strawburn Eye Powder Duo, Brow Powder Duo from Anastasia to fill in any gaps. So we are going for a full-on solid 1960s brow for this look, which will look crazy before the eyeshadow is created. You will feel like Groucho Marx. It is totally fine. And then after I've finished building up that brow and getting it to the point that I feel comfortable with it, I'm going to go ahead and matte out my eyelids with my Stay Matte setting powder that I use from Clinique. And I'm just using a fluffy brush to matte those out. And then I'm going to use a taupe matte shadow. This is the Balm Voyage palette from the Balm. It is not available anymore, I don't believe. So you can use any matte brown shadow that's kind of a neutral tone, and we're just going to create a transition to the middle of, or right at the crease. I'm just using a fluffy brush to apply a transitional brown shade right there at the outer portion of the crease and then moving inward. And I'm going to use a tapered blending brush at first and then blend out the top edge of that transition with a more fluffy, clean blending brush. Then I'm going to zoom in a little closer and I'm going to apply with a smaller brush a matte vanilla shadow at the lid or at the brow, just to kind of highlight the brow bone without too much glimmer or shimmer. And then I'm going to take my favorite liquid concealer. This one is the Beyond Perfecting Concealer by Clinique. And I'm going to create and build up a very pronounced lid. So if you don't have a lot of lid space, especially if your eyes are older, then this is a great way to kind of build up and create a little more lid space just by kind of creating a round shape or a cut crease, as they call it now, with your concealer. And then we're going to take the mint green shade that's in this palette. You can use any color that you want. This actually looked bluer on camera, but it's really more green. And we're going to take that seafoam green color and sort of pat it onto the concealer with a flat shader brush. And then I like a little dimension at the outer corner. It's absolutely not necessary. You can just stick with one tone. It was very common in the 50s and 60s to do just one tone across the whole lid, but I'm actually going to add some of this darker green and then blend it with that clean blending brush to create a little bit of dimension. You'll see that it doesn't do a whole lot to that lid color, And you want to be careful not to blend that too far up because it will look muddy mixed with the brown shade. And then after you've got that blended and everything feels pretty complete, then you're going to take a brown liner and just very, very softly define your lower lash line. This one is Whiskey by Urban Decay. And then I went over that with a brown matte shadow just to kind of define the lower lash line and give it a little bit of a start. And then I'm going to take a champagne shimmery shade from that same palette. It's kind of a vanilla shimmer. And I'm going to use a small brush to highlight the inner corner. And I think I go back and do that again later. But now I'm going to build up a wing, and I'm using my Kat Von D black liner in Trooper. This liner is incredible, but you do not have to use this. You can use any black liquid liner, but basically you're going to create a very bold wing. And if you've got hooded lids, or if you've got some little bit of fine lines at the outer edge of your eye, just make sure that that wing is big enough to sort of hide all of that. You want that wing to look straight and even. So I actually went a little thicker than typical. And I'm using an angled brush to sort of increase that shading right at the crease with that taupe color. So that's what you see me doing right then. And then I'm going to go back in with a mascara. I'm using a lengthening mascara. You want to use something with a thinner brush just to make sure that you lengthen the mascara or lengthen the eyelashes as much as you can. Don't poke yourself in the eye like I just did. Yeah, and I'm going to go back in and highlight that inner corner a little bit more. Some of it got lost. And now I'm going to take my eyelashes and apply them. I did not do that on camera just simply because I didn't have enough time, but I will do a full video on eyelash application if you like. And then I take my black liquid liner and I just do a very, very fine line at the bottom lash line because that was a very, very traditionally done in the 1960s and 1950s. And I'm actually cutting the inner corner of my eyelashes because they were too long at the inner corner and the way that they were placed was making me crazy. Do not put scissors this close to your eyeballs, y'all. That was so dumb. Okay, so after my eyes are done, I'm just going to go and put on my primer. This is by Nude by Nature. It's a nice shimmery primer. And then I'm going to use my, what's that Estee Lauder foundation that everybody uses? I'm losing my mind. I cannot think of what it's called, but I'm using the Estee Lauder foundation that everyone uses. It's Double Wear. I'm losing my mind, but yes. So I'm using Double Wear foundation because it's matte and it's full coverage, but I used a luminous primer so that it will not look too flat. This color is pure beige. It's a little light for me right now, but anyway, it will settle and oxidize a little bit in a bit. So I'm applying that all over. I'm doing a full coverage foundation because this is an evening makeup look. And then I'm going to set it. I'm going to use my regular Stay Matte Clinique pressed powder. I also use Dermablend setting powder quite often, but this time that was just what was close by. And I completely forgot to do my concealer, so I'm going to go back in with a fluffy Real Techniques brush and I'm going to apply my Quick Fix Body Cover Concealer. So yeah, I had to repowder that area. All right, for my blush, I'm using Sunset by Clinique. It's a nice bronzy kind of neutral pinky red, and I love using that color with colored eyeshadow because I feel like it's nice and neutral but still gives some life to the face. I usually do this before my lipstick, well, in my one other video, but this is by Ommegang and it is a granola stout, which sounded shockingly interesting to me. Cranberry, cocoa nibs, oats, honey, pecan flavor, vanilla. 6.5 alcohol. I just got this recently at the Liquor Barn in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It is made out of Cooperstown, New York. This is a brewery that I have liked in the past, but we're going to go ahead and try this. You can definitely taste the caramel and the pecan first off. I'm not getting the cranberry at all. There's no fruitiness to this. This is actually a very deep stout. But definitely it's got cocoa and vanilla in it. I definitely would say this has more of the vanilla than the cocoa in it. So it's got the pecan, the caramel, the vanilla, but as far as the honey and the cranberry, this isn't anything that I'm tasting really. Either way, it's really great. Definitely one that I would go back to. It's called Keep It Crunchy. So that's today's beer. I'm going to enjoy this when I finish powdering and blushing, and I will be right back to talk about the makeup. So for lips, I am using the Clinique Clove Pop lipstick, which is one of their matte colors. It's a little browner than it looks on camera, but I'm using that. It's a matte lipstick, and then I'm using my just a neutral lip liner, and then I'm going to go in and line that and then shine it up with a gloss. So there you go. Here's a little bit of a close-up. My camera quality is a little bit washed out, so you don't see the color quite as well as I would like, but I think it is still very vibrant, it is still very vintage appropriate, and so I thought it would be worthwhile to show on this channel. Again, if you have any requests or anything that you would like to see in the form of vintage hair, makeup, or style, then please feel free to rate, comment, and request below. I also have an email address listed below that you can request on, and I get most of my requests on Instagram, so make sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, all those places, and we will see you next week.